Hi again then guys, and welcome to another Forza Motorsport 7 specific vehicle review, and this is one of those cars which I wanted to make a point of discussing fairly early on in our cycle of car reviews on the game, for one specific reason. Not that I love the car, or that necessarily it's even an amazing car, it could be, but we'll find that out, but the main reason is because of the significance of this car being in the game day one. Because, of course, those who have played Forza Horizon 3 will know that that is where this Bentley made its debut on Forza. However, it's a DLC car, and I don't know about you guys, but I certainly feel that if I don't love, or at least really want to test, say 2 or 3 of the cars in a particular car pack, I probably just won't download it. I used to be obsessed with getting all of the packs, but I just don't bother doing that anymore, because half the time I use all of the cars once and then never go back to them. And for me, the pack that this Bentley is in is one of those. I still haven't downloaded it on Horizon 3, whether or not I will remains to be seen. However, having this car on Forza 7 day one is nice. Along with the Bentayga, the Continental Supersport is also a unicorn car on Horizon 3, so we've got all these new Bentleys to play with, of course the Continental GT3 as well. But this one in particular is quite a juicy car in terms of potential. It's what you could consider to be the closest that Bentley has come to making a true supercar, at least in concept form. Now, for those who don't know, Bentley has actually made a full-on supercar concept before called the Anaudries, if that's the pronunciation. I'm not certain, who knows. But that car shares many of the design traits and also some of the mechanical components, including the engine, in a lower state of tune, as the Veyron. It could have been a Bentley Veyron, and in my opinion, it looks better than the Veyron. It's an awesome looking car. If you haven't seen it, Google that. But this one is much more of a typical Bentley design. It's not mid-engine like that one was. It doesn't have the crazy Veyron DNA, but what it does have is a sleeker approach than a Continental. The weight is pared down. It's a good 300 or 400 kilos lighter than a Continental GT is. But, being a Bentley, it's not too surprisingly still over 2 tons, 2,040 kilos. Now, the engine puts out very good supercar level numbers, 633 horsepower, and I would say even more impressively, 619 pound-feet of torque, so you've got more than enough shove. And that torque in particular is very helpful when it's a big all-wheel drive heavy car like this one. As I just mentioned, it is all-wheel drive, and the class is moderately high. It's not extremely high, but it's moderate, A670, so it's reasonable. The price is a little high, not necessarily too high, given that it is an exotic and it's a concept, but around 385 grand is a fair amount of money in Forza 7 terms, given that the most expensive cars in the game are only a couple million, so in comparison that's quite a lot for this car. So with that being said, what can you expect from this Bentley? Because for most people, especially those who have had it as DLC on Horizon, it's probably not a car which you're going to go to ASAP. There are other cars which you'll probably want to buy or win or use more quickly than this one. So for those who maybe are interested, such as myself, I go straight for the oddball vehicles, and I would put this under that category. What does it offer? Because visually, if the style and the design is anything to go by, this could well be the most Aston Martin that Bentley has ever been. Because from a design point of view, especially from the back and the side in particular, it really does look like an Aston Martin or even some form of Jaguar. That's kind of always been the case. Jaguars and Astons have always looked fairly similar, but Bentley was always kind of different to that. Now, this one looks not necessarily more generic, but it looks a little bit less Bentley and a little bit more Jag or Aston. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, but that'll probably depend on personal preference, especially given that this car offers the new design style that Bentley is offering on a lot of their cars like the Bentayga, and so far that design style, especially on the front end, has proved to be quite controversial as to what people think it looks like, how good or bad they think it looks. Personally, I think it suits this car more than it does the Bentayga, but enough about the looks, because I could talk about a car's design all day. I love it. But what about the performance? Well, on Horizon it's incredibly quick in a straight line, especially top end. You come across the car fairly often in the career mode races, if you will, and also in street races depending on the car that you're driving. And the one thing that this car always has is great top-end acceleration and speed. So does it carry that over? Because the vehicle that I'm using here is not tuned, it's totally stock, of course being relative with a car like this. So how does it perform? Is it basically a sleeker, slightly lighter Continental, or is it something genuinely new? Well, to some degree, I would say it kind of falls into both of those camps. It definitely has similarities to the Continental. It's big, it's heavy, it's all-wheel drive, it's luxurious, and it even looks fairly similar. Of course, it's like a squashed Continental, but at the same time the handling is definitely sharper. The turn-in is a little bit better. The centre of gravity is probably most importantly lower on this car than the Continental, and also it feels, I'm not sure if it is, I haven't checked the size of the car, but it feels a little bit wider and maybe roughly the same length as a Continental, but wider and obviously lower. That kind of stance can really help a heavy car to get through those corners more quickly, because otherwise you're borderline SUV level in terms of the size and weight of a Continental, and that can prove to be troublesome under certain circumstances, whereas having more of a full-on exotic shape like this one has can really help you. Now it does, for sure. At the same time though, the all-wheel drive sometimes works against you, because the amount of grip going to the front end in particular is sometimes a bit too much. However, when you drift the car, such as in this video, it's great. Now overall, it's not a car which I would say everyone needs to buy, or even everyone should consider buying. It's a car which certain people will really like. It's certainly a car which catches my attention, because as I said, I like different cars, oddball cars, but it's an interesting alternative. It's kind of like the Maserati contingency. It's that alternative to the obvious choice of a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, or like a Spiker or a Pagani or a Koenigsegg. They're not the obvious choice, they're the more oddball alternative. That's basically what this car represents, and when you tune it, it is very fast. I can't guarantee how many races it will win due to the size and weight, but it certainly has potential. Overall though, that's it for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.